Okay guys, here we are. Answer key. Unit 2 practice test. These are pretty straightforward. Just be sure to pay attention to whether or not there's a line underneath there. If there's no line, just make a circle, label it where you are. That's at +7. Less than is definitely going this way. That's all you need to do. Make it really clear whether or not that's an open circle or a closed circle. Same deal here. This one is an open circle at -3, and then it's a closed circle at 10. And you should try to be approximately to scale, but it's not the end of the world if your spacing isn't perfect. All right. And how you want to make that clear is up to you. You can do it below if you want, like this. That's very clear, but again, open circle for not equal to, closed circle if it can be equal to. Here's a first of typos. That's obviously supposed to be a y. If you did it as like 9x equals 28, you're going to get a vertical line at x equals 7. That would have been okay, but here we go. Make a little chart, x and y. This is in that standard form, so I like graphing it with the intercept method. When x is 0, y has to be 4. When y is 0, x is going to be 14. Doesn't go up to 14 squares, so we just make every square worth 2. So that's 4 is right there. 0 comma 4 is right there. Just want to be careful to do the x first, left and right 0, up 4, and then over 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 7. And you don't need a straight edge, but if you happen to have one handy, there you go. You can label it with the equation. I won't do that right now because I don't have time, trying to go quickly. Same thing here, only we're not going to get perfect answers. That's okay. We just want to get a close approximation to our graph. When x is 0, y is going to be -17/3. That goes in 5 times exactly with 2/3 left over. So when x is 0, it's -5 2/3. When y is 0, this time it's going to be 3 2/5, and that's +3 2/5. So when I go to graph that, when x is 0, I go down 2, 3, 4, 5 2/3. Oops, 5 2/3 is right there. And then over 3 2/5 is about right there. And again, I just draw my best line and I label it. All right. So as long as you have the numbers okay right here, you'll be fine down there. Just try to be accurate. Now for this one, this is in y equals mx plus b form. So m is the slope, b is the intercept, so my slope there is a little invisible 1. So I'm going to go over 1, up 1, and I'm going to start there at -3. 1, 2, 3, that's my intercept. And then up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 3, over 3, whatever you want to do. But that's going to be my line like that. All right. This one here is a -1/2 slope starting at 7, 2, 3. I'll make everyone count 2. 2, 4, 6, there's 8, there's 10, and so there's 7. And I'm going to go down 1 over 2, and I'll be right there. Down 1 over 2. I'll be right there. And that's what that line is going to look like. Slope is negative, it's going down from left to right. And that's the first page. All right, second page here, y equals 5, that's just a horizontal line at 5, right there. Just go up to the y value. If y equals 5, go up there, make a dot, and remember that x can be anything. So it can be anything left or right, like that. X equals -4, just go to x equals -4, make sure it's a vertical line. This is where you got to practice and get this straight in your head, that when it's x equals something, it's perpendicular to the x-axis. When it's y equals something, it's perpendicular to the y-axis. Okay, find an equation. This is just like the front page, only in reverse. This is x is going to be always greater than, but not equal to 5. Find the line, the equation of the line containing this point. Write it in point-slope form. That's when we have y minus some point y1 is equal to m times x minus the x coordinate of that same point. I can choose either of these points to be my x1, y1. To find my slope, though, I'm going to just use my arrow method, where I just say to myself, going from this y to that y, what's happening? From 10 down to 0 is negative 10. From this x down to that x, going in the same direction from the first to the second point, 2 down to negative 3 is change of negative 5. So my slope then, my m, is equal to positive 2. Okay? Negative over negative is positive 2. And then I just plug in the point. So I go y then minus the y value 10 is equal to 2 times x minus the x value, which is 2. This is the final equation. Now, just to show you how you could transform it into y equals mx plus b form if I wanted, I would just multiply that in and say that y minus 10 equals 2x minus 4 when I did that distribution, and then I add 10 to both sides, and y equals 2x. After doing plus 10 and plus 10, I get plus 6. So that would be that in slope-intercept form, if slope-intercept is asked for, if it's required, but it's not for that problem. All right, write an expression for the total number of seniors on the math team cannot be greater than 4. It can be equal to 4, but it cannot be greater than 4. So S then is less than or equal to 4, is the same as not being greater than. This is, it should have a scale on this. That should say something like 5, because you don't know if it's every square stands for 2, but we're going to make the assumption, if you're not told otherwise, that it's 1. This has an intercept, it looks like a 4. So for y equals mx plus b, I'm going to do plus 4. The slope here looks like it's over 4 up 4, over 1 up 1, so that's 1x, and that's an inequality where I'm shading less than and it's not equal to. So y is less than x plus 4. I gave myself a lot more room than I needed to, so maybe I'll make this bigger. All right, that's that. On to the last page, our mega problem. Okay, we've got this Gorp snack. It's a mixture. I think you probably read through this. I'm just going to write down the equations here. The FDA, Food and Drug Administration, requires that there be at least 4 ounces of chocolate chips and at least 3 ounces of peanuts. So I'm going to call this down here chocolate chips. That's that axis, that's my x's, and then peanuts is right there, and that's my y's. So I know that if it's saying at the very least 4 ounces of chocolate chips, I go over here, that's 10, so that's 2, 4. So here's my 4 value for chocolate chips, and I've got to shade that way. Okay. And I know that I need at least 3 ounces of peanuts. So I go to peanuts for 3, and that's right there. And I know that I'm going to shade this way. So I'm bigger than 3 on that and bigger than 4 on the other way. The package must have at least 150 grams of carbohydrates. Each ounce of chocolate chips has 25 grams. So chocolate chips, my x's, every x is going to be multiplied by 25. Every ounce I multiply by 25 grams. Peanuts, all my y's, are only 7.5 grams. And that has to be at least 150, equal to or greater than 150. So that's that equation. Also, the total package must be less than 16 ounces. So that's saying my x's plus my y's must be less than or equal to 16 ounces. Now, if you'd left off that equal to, that's fine. So to graph this now, this one's the easy one. I make a little chart. X, oops, I'm way off the screen here. Sorry, there's my equation. 25x plus 7.5y is greater than 150 for my carbos. And my total ounces has to be less than 16. So however many ounces of x plus however many ounces of y, my peanuts, is going to be less than 16. To graph this one, I'm just going to do my x and y in 0 and 0, and you can see when x is 0, y is 16. When y is 0, x is 16. And then for this one, that's that one, I can do the same type of thing, x and y chart. When x is 0, I can multiply that by, let's see, well, times 10 is 75, and then 75 times 2, so that would be 20. Will give me 150, and then when y is 0, I multiply by just 6. Okay, so then to graph this, when x is 0, I go up to y is 20 right there, and when x is 6, right there, I draw a line, and that's that, and that's got to be greater than, so I'm going to shade this way. Then on this one it's less than, and I just go up and down 16 on each of these, so there's 16 and there's 16. I hope this is showing up on camera, and so that's my 16, 16, right there 16, right there 16, and I'm shading less than. So if you look at this whole region, it's just trapped in this kind of funny shape thing that's like that. So that is the region with these 4 corners. All right, that's all the area that your GORP mixture can be made from. So it says write and graph inequalities. I should have written that chips are x is greater than or equal to 3, y is greater than or equal to 4. There are your inequalities, C and then D. Those are your inequalities, and I've graphed them, and that is the reason of feasibility. There we go.